This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel today. And let me tell you, the Edmonton Oilers, well, they've got an exciting crop of new guys, right? Or new old guys, whatever you want to call them. But when you add in guys like Turris, when you add in a guy like Tyson Barrie, and you bring back a guy like Puljujarvi, it's obviously going to get some fans, management, and coaches excited about things when it comes to the next season to be played. Now, obviously, we still don't have an official start date for the next season. We have a target date. Yep, we do, but no solid, this is when we start, this is when training camp starts as of yet. But let me tell you, you know what? Right now, sit back, relax, and enjoy what looks to be a fun, exciting, improved Edmonton Oilers team over last year, right? Obviously, what didn't we have last year? A third-line centerman. What didn't we have last year? A scoring third line. And we'll talk more about that and why that's important in a second. And what didn't we have last year? A power play quarterback that was right shot. Well, now we have that. Goaltending, make of it what you will. Guys, realistically, the numbers don't lie. Mike Smith wasn't the worst thing in the world, which is what everyone made him out to be last week. So, let's talk about it. Dave Tippett, very excited about the additions to his team in Turris and, of course, Barrie on the back end, and Puljujarvi returning to the right wing of the Edmonton Oilers. And Coach Dave Tippett, man, he comes in with guys that have a lot to prove. And I'll take this quote from the Edmonton Oilers feature article from the discussion on Oilers Now today, and this is, I think the NHL has gone to top 9 forwards and then a role-playing fourth line. We were kind of a top 6 and bottom 6 last year with bringing in Kyle and the addition of Puljujarvi. We'll get to where we feel a lot more comfortable with a top 9 in offensive situations and in 5-on-5 situations. So in case you really have missed a lot of what Dave Tippett's talked about when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers next season, is it's 5-on-5, right? We were deadly on the power play, deadly on the penalty kill. That's not the part that hurt our game. Yes, obviously some of those power plays did, but hopefully you can solve that with Kyle Turris maybe taking on a little bit of second PP time, and of course taking on a power play quarterback in Tyson Barrie. Penalty kill, it was fine and dandy. Second best in the league anytime, can't complain about it. However, 5-on-5 was an absolute horror show for the Oilers at times in the regular season, whether it be the stupid tip plays, whether it be whatever you want to call it. There just seemed to be a lot of dumb stupidity going 5-on-5 from the forwards, from the defensemen, from Connor McDavid, from whoever you want to say. At the end of the day, all players 5-on-5 last year struggled to a degree, if not to a high degree, at times during the season. So, obviously, right, that is why the focus going into next season is 5-on-5 play for Dave Tippett, and that's why you will hear all off-season long Dave Tippett talk about 5-on-5, even strength play has to be improved. So when it comes down to Kyle Turris, this is what had Tippett talking about. That was not a sentence, but please don't mind me. It worked till 5:30 today and just got home, so bear with me. It's been a long day. Snow on the roads already, alright? If nobody dealt with snow on the roads today, it's not lovely in October, especially not down here where it's half snow, half slush, half whatever the heck that liquid mud is. Beats me. So this is what Tippett said about his right-hand centerman that we signed in free agency to that perfect $1.65 million contract. He's a really smart player in all situations. He's going to be a nice fit for us. And then, of course, it looks like the Oilers are really gearing us up for Puljujarvi to start on the third line with Kyle Turris. That would be in the 2021 campaign. And he's returning to North America after spending last season and starting this season in the Liga. And Tippett did mention he's watched most of Puljujarvi's action with Karpat this season, and what you need to know from him is you watch him play now, and I'm quoting this from Dave Tippett, and he's a different player. He's a dominant player in the Finnish league right now. His English is good, and he's anxious to come over and prove he can be a good player in the best league in the world. I think we'll get a much better player coming in here this time. And remember, Dave Tippett has no prior history other than coaching against Jesse Puljujarvi, with Jesse Puljujarvi. So that's the added benefit here. Holland's new, Tippett's new. They have time to let the player grow or kind of rot under them, right? This is the beauty of re-upping with Jesse Puljujarvi, is it's a whole new go-around because you don't have Todd McClellan, you don't have Ken Hitchcock, you don't have Peter Chiarelli. You've got a whole new core in there, right? And think about some of the front office changes. There's been a lot to this Oilers team that went over last year that now affect how this succeeds for Puljujarvi. So he's got a little bit more leash than maybe he ever did, right? This is a guy that's come in and is a completely different player than he was 2 years ago. And then you get to Barrie, and it's all the talk about the power play. But here's what Dave Tippett has to talk about Tyson Barrie. He'll come in and give, and this is again a quote, I keep forgetting to mention that. He'll come in and give our power play a little different look with a right-hander instead of a left-hander, and he's very adept at running a power play. He's excited about that part of it, but he's also excited about trying to make our team a better team and a better team 5-on-5. He's a great fit for us. And Tippett continues, he's been a cast as that power play offensive guy, but I think he's a good two-way player. Yes. Tyson Barrie, not good at defense. Here's what you need to know about Tyson Barrie and the defense. One of our things with 5-on-5 is we didn't play with the puck enough, right? Didn't possess it, didn't move it forward, didn't shoot it enough, what have you. So you end up defending too much with Tyson, the way he moves the puck and the way he can carry the puck up the ice. He might not be the best defender in the league, which we all know. That's no surprise to any of us. But he doesn't have to defend as much as a lot of other guys do because he moves the puck so well out of his own end. So, Dave Tippett concludes the interview with Bob Stauffer. Maybe he does. I haven't listened to it. I don't have time to listen to it. I've only got the synopsis here, and that's all I've got time for this evening. They're very motivated players, and those are the kind of players as a coach you like coming into your lineup. So you've got 3 new guys coming in trying to prove that they've got the worth to be in an NHL lineup, and you look at Kyle Turris and Jesse Puljujarvi. Guys, you strike gold there. For less than $2.8 million, you could have 2 guys be part of the most dominant third line in the NHL, because suddenly you catch fire with Jesse Puljujarvi and Kyle Turris on the third line. How do you defend against the dynamite line, Nuge, Draisaitl, and Yamamoto? How do you defend against Connor McDavid and, say, James Neal? How do you defend against 3 of what could be the top lines at each line slot in the NHL when you've got a 1A, 1B line, and then you've got a third line that, for all intents and purposes, depending on who goes as the left winger, most likely Tyler Ennis, you could have as a placeholder second line in the NHL last season. Well, suddenly, dang, right? That is a lot to handle as a defense, because you've got 3 defensemen pairs. Who defends the fourth line then becomes the question, I guess. But, right, if you've got 3 just dynamite scoring lines in terms of what they're able to produce offensively, if you catch the fire on all 3 lines, how do you defend those lines, right? Because the top 2 lines need the top D pair. But if Dave Tippett throws out Connor McDavid, then throws out Leon Draisaitl's line, you can't throw your top D pair out there for a minute and a half in the first period. That is not conservation of the legs at all. So right there, the Oilers have an advantage. Well, suddenly, okay, now you had to use your second pair against Draisaitl and them. Well, they got taken advantage, scored on. Now Dave Tippett throws out Turris and Puljujarvi with Ennis, and what do you have? Your third D pair? Well, as a placeholder second line, that shouldn't be enough to contain that line should they catch fire. So these guys coming in motivated, coming in absolutely hungry, could create a nightmare scenario for teams across the NHL, and that is exactly what will make this Edmonton Oilers season such an exciting one, is to watch that evolution of the Oilers from here to here in terms of pure dominance on the ice, right? Last year, we had 1-2 maybe lines going in one game that could dominate you. Now suddenly you move that to possibly 3 full lines that could dominate you, with a fourth line that's just going to go out there and be rambunctious and kill penalties and hit bodies and take minutes away from the big guns in bad situations and give them good situations. My goodness, my friends. Like, if Dave Tippett's comments don't get you excited today, if Tyson Barrie, Kyle Turris, and yes, Puljujarvi being 3 of the most motivated maybe players in the NHL doesn't get you excited, if nothing about anything I've mentioned doesn't get you excited, please check your pulse, because you may need to go get a pacemaker. Because, guys, this is what we have been waiting for a while, is this perfect storm of Edmonton Oilers hockey coming our way whenever they announce the start of the next NHL season. Guys, I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. I will catch you in the next one.